listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and today we have another show lined up for y'all. Today, we're going to be talking to Tom Vanderwell. He is the CEO and the big guy, the big dog for today, because he's all about the intelligenics, and he's also author of an amazing book that is best-selling. This call may be monitored. You talk about a cliffhanger there. We're going to get the juice on that as well. But on a serious note, for more than 30 years, Tom has analyzed over 100,000, that's right, over 100,000 recorded business conversations, uncovering lessons not only about customer service and leadership, but also about trust, fear, conflict, ego, loneliness, and any other universal thing that you kind of hear in the corporate world. So first and foremost, let me cut to the chase, because, man, your resume is going to have me go all the way to the 25-minute mark. I know, guys, I say that all the time on the show, but it's true. You should see what I get in my inbox. These accomplishments are so long. It'll probably take me 3 hours just to go through every one of those threads in detail. So cutting to the chase, Tom, thank you for clearing your calendar, because I know it's extremely full, for talking to I Am Refocused Radio. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, and thank you. I'm honored to be on the show today, so thanks for having me.
It's amazing. I tell people all the time, because they think, man, you get all these big shots. Well, man, when you're nervous, you care. When you got big people doing big things, wow. Thank you for taking time to talk to our audience, because you know a thing or two about business and about selling books. So kind of tell us what inspired you to take the path that you took professionally.
Oh my gosh, it was not something that I wanted to do. In fact, business was the last thing I wanted to get into. I thought I was going to get into ministry, and I thought I was going to be a pastor. And I actually tried to go down that road, and I ended up, that was just a big closed door. And then I ended up being offered this really strange job. It's 1994. And the whole idea of call monitoring, your call may be monitored for quality and training, like everyone hears that today. But in 1994, it was relatively a new thing. And so I was hired by this company and told, well, this is what you're going to do. And I mean, I was kind of a pioneer. Nobody was doing it. And literally, the first client I had, we were like, I literally was like pushing a phone cord into a phone jack, analog phone jack, and into a cassette recorder, waiting for the customer service rep to answer the phone, and then hitting the record button and recording on a cassette tape. And so for the first few years, like my desk was stacked with cassette tapes, and my Walkman was my friend. And so I was kind of a pioneer in the whole thing. And over 30 plus years, technology has changed and business has changed. But I just, have faith. I just listen to phone calls. Clients of every industry, and from receptionists to customer service to sales and collections and accounting and billing and you name it, I've listened to it all. And it's just taught me. So like 10 years ago, I was sitting down and I was journaling, and I started just writing out, what are the things that I've learned? Not just business lessons, but life lessons, like spiritual lessons, like things about life that I've learned from my job and listening to 100,000 phone calls. And I just started writing down. They kept coming. I had over 30 things. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is a book. And it took 10 years plus years for the book to become a reality, but it finally has. And that's why, it's called This Call May Be Monitored, but the subtitle is What Eavesdropping on Corporate America Taught Me About Business and Life. And this isn't just about business. It's about life. It's about relationships. It's about marriage and parenting and being a good human being, because that's really what I've learned.
When you think about and reflect on 100,000 interactions, I mean, that's a lot of stuff to listen to, but you did it. So, man, no wonder you have to be bestseller. I mean, people want to know all the details, all these secret sauce. So when you think about having that type of experience and paying attention to detail, that takes a lot of commitment. And also you learn something about human nature Was there anything that surprised you?
Yeah. And so here's one of the life lessons that comes out of that, and I know that on your podcast, you've interviewed amazing people. You've had professional athletes, and I actually talk about that in my book. That you watch a professional football player today, and the first thing when they get back to the bench, you know what they do? They pull up their tablet and they watch the play that they just ran. You watch a professional baseball player, and the first thing he gets in the dugout, he looks at his at-bat and every pitch, and he analyzes it. Quality assessment is no different. It's the same thing. How can I look at what I did, and how can I learn from it to get better? But the reality is that, so you think about those professional athletes, we all watch them on television in the spotlight for 2 hours or 3 hours, and we just think, wow, what glorious and glamorous their life must be. But the reality is, when you think about the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours that they have spent just practicing the mundane, blocking, tackling, shooting, blocking, we never see that. And one of the things that I learned in this job is the mundane routine process of just listening to call after call after call. And believe me, people are always going to go, oh man, you must have heard some really interesting things in your career. And I have, like the guy who was at work on the phone, on his work phone, setting up his drug business. And and so I actually got to talk to the FBI with my one time in my career. Okay. He knew his calls were recorded. So what are you doing, dude? So things like that. I've heard amazing, weird experiences, but those are the exceptions. Those are like the less than 1%. The reality is that the 99% are like an offensive lineman in the NFL. What do they do every day? They practice blocking. They practice blocking. And they block 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 and they block. And that's what they do. And that's kind of what, analyzing business phone calls is like. You do the ordinary, mundane things, but if you do it well, the things that you learn and the things that it affords you are amazing. Think about life, and this is a life lesson. Like, how much of our life, how much of my marriage is every day I just do these things. And that's one of the things I've learned even from my business. Like, I teach customer service representatives and salespeople, you know what customers really want? They want to know that they're cared for. They want to know that they're appreciated. They want to know that this company cares for me as a person. And how do you do that? It's as simple as consistently saying, hey, thank you for being a customer. And as I'm training my clients on this, like every call, just say, hey, could I get your information, please? Thank you. Thank you for being a customer. That is important to customers. And then I started thinking, well, dude, every week my wife does our laundry. And she's the most important person to me in the world. And I was like going, I need every week when I see Wendy doing the laundry, I need to say, hey, Wendy, thank you for doing the laundry. Because I want you to know that you matter to me, and I want you to know that I'm grateful for our relationship. And that made my marriage better. And this is just a million things that I've learned in the process of just figuring out the blocking and tackling of business.
Once again, listen on Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest today, Tom Vanderwell, CEO of Intelligenics. Go to his website. It's super easy, intelligenics.com. My next question is, when you think of some of the conversations you heard, what separates a productive conversation from one that quickly escalates into a defensive or hostile conversation?
Oh, yeah, no, that's a great question. And in my book, I talk about what I call the holy trinity of customer satisfaction. There are every customer base, every industry has nuances to what their customer base wants and what drives their satisfaction. There are always little nuances, but in general, there are three universals because they're human universals. And they are, in order, number one, I want my issue resolved. I want my question answered. Number two, I want to know that you care. I want to feel appreciated. I want to know that you empathize with the fact that I've been inconvenienced, whatever. And then number three is respect my time. And so these three things are always there especially if you're in customer service. I mean, it's different if you're in sales and maybe some different pieces in the business communication. But if you're in customer service, the fact that this customer is calling you, you already know something has not gone right. They're calling you because there's a problem. There's a question. And number one, they want that issue or question resolved. But number two, they really want to know that you care. And so to your question, how do you make it productive? I always train our clients what I've come to call an empathy resolution statement. If you can right up front say, hey, look, I am so sorry that your package didn't arrive. And then I say immediately, what I can do, what I will do is ... And immediately the customer hears, oh my gosh, great, I've got somebody who cares. They just apologized for the problem. And now they're really focused on what they can and will do. And they're taking ownership for my issue. And they're telling me what they're going to do to get this resolved. That alone can immediately bring down a sense of escalation. The customer, like, okay, good, I got somebody who's going to take care of me. It's a simple thing, but it makes such a huge difference. What I often hear in business is, thanks for calling Acme Anvils. This is Tom. How can I help you? Yeah, well, my anvil didn't arrive. Account number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Silence. I hear that all the time. And immediately the customer is like going, hello?
Are you there?
Hello? Are you there? Do you care? What are you doing? That's an immediate fail. And to your point, that's when customers like going, come on, what is going on? And if you immediately say, hey, sorry for the problem. I am going to pull this up. We're going to take a look at where it's at. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure we get your anvil to your door as quickly as possible. Boom. Customers like going, yes, I've got somebody who's taking care of me. It's a simple thing.
I got to jump in here, man, because we all been customers, right? We all been the one that called. I mean, I've done that all the time. Will be an interesting idea. You let me know what you think about this. Instead of playing that crazy, boring music that makes you fall asleep, why won't they just run some like comedy club skit or something? Make the person laugh. So at least by the time you come back and have the information, we're in a better move. What do you think?
Yeah, well, absolutely. So now I'm going to go all the way back to a lot of people probably don't even remember, but back in the day, one of the big early computer companies was Gateway Computers. They were headquarters in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And at the time, they were one of the biggest computer companies in the world. And I remember calling Gateway Computers And, you call in and all of a sudden you get the front end IVR kind of going, thanks for calling, press 1 for this, press 2 for this. And back in those days, some people actually still had rotary phones. And I remember when Gateway answered the phone, the first thing you heard was cows mooing in the background. And if you remember, their boxes had like these cow spots on it. I mean, that was their whole brand identity. So you hear these cows mooing, and you hear this like really nice lady kind of going, hey, thanks for calling Gateway. And it was just hilarious. It disengaged you. It made you laugh. And then when she got to go, hey, press 1 for sales, press 2 for service, and she's like going, and if you have a rotary phone, we love your sense of nostalgia. Just hang on to the phone. That whole thing was hilarious and entertaining to listen to. And it took what most people get aggravated by, it disengaged them and made them laugh. So by the time they actually did press a number and talk to an agent, they were not in a bad mood. They were actually kind of laughing. And so, yes, and not enough companies even pay attention to those things. What do you say? What do you hear when you're on hold? How do you engage the customer with technology from that moment you pick up the phone and they hear the IVR? Those are important touch points.
It's funny, a quick story, and it's all about you, but I got to throw this quick story in there. As a customer, I remember one time I was calling in for a problem, and the person, man, they were on it. But I had to go through like 3 people just to get to the matchmaker of that nice, amazing human being that was on it. So I know the call's being monitored or recorded, same thing. And at the end, knowing that it's being recorded, I said, you know what? You helped me a lot. You just really made my day. And I know you probably get a lot of, customers who have their words that they want to say off their mind. But I know they're recording this, and you know what? They should double or triple your raise because you really made my day. And you have a great day. Do you know it? This person was so happy. They kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. I said, you know what? No, thank you. You are the reason why I'm staying with this company XYZ. So I'm pretty sure that person probably got a promotion because I went all the way in to compliment their service.
Absolutely. And, customer service. So, and the reason that I talk about the fact that, hey, this is about lessons about business and life is because essentially this customer service transaction or this business transaction is between 2 human beings. We're still human beings. And we still, we have things that we expect, that we want, but that customer service representative on the other end, I mean, I've coached thousands and thousands of customer service reps and salespeople over the years. They're human beings too. They have feelings too. They are just trying to do the best they can with what they have. And oftentimes they do end up getting the brunt of angry customers, frustrated customers. And for you to say, look, you made my day and I appreciate you and you've made a difference and I'm going to stick with this company because of you. You could have just made somebody's entire month. And those things make a difference. You have an opportunity to make somebody's day as a customer. Remember, these are people. We tend to just think it's this disembodied voice that it's really easy to yell at. But this is an actual person getting paid to represent this company, and they're just doing the best they can, man.
It's kind of funny when you think about it. First, you don't even know that you just met and you're already angry. It's like, okay. Because we all been there. We've been frustrated, and it's okay to be frustrated. But when the person on the other side is actually making an effort, like you, as a customer, I'm just saying as a PSA, like, go all in knowing that the call's being recorded. Make them look good and sound good because that person probably deserves to get an opportunity to go up the ladder. And that could be a very situation that they might monitor that recording and say, hey, this is going to be the new standard because look at, John Doe. He is an excellent example of how we treat customers, and we need to make that a blueprint. So as a PSA, you get really good service over the phone, take some time to give them some compliments and feed that fire, because that might have a domino effect for how they take calls for the rest of the week.
Absolutely right. And the sad thing about the story that you just told is that, like, you had to get to like the fourth person to find that person who really made the difference. And which is why call monitoring and quality assessment is so important, because it's just like that quarterback looking at the tablet on the bench, or the baseball player looking at it in the dugout. The reality is that every person that's talking on the phone that represents your company is winning or losing in that customer's mind. And so the powerful thing that QA brings is, if everyone is held, if the standard is communicated, this is the standard and this is what we expect, and we're going to monitor, and you're going to be able to review your calls, and we're going to help you consistently get that customer service batting average to this level, then you don't have to go through three people to get to that person. Everybody who answers the phone is got a high batting average, and there's just not enough businesses today that see the value of that investment.
Yeah, I would like to say, and I like how we discussed this episode, is amazing, but I like to say, I guarantee the first three, they was probably getting hit up and they was probably going through it. And by the time I came in as part of the 60th person, it was like, oh, here we go again. It's probably the same problem, the same speech, man. Let me pass them to the fourth guy. So, yeah, I think conversation like this is needed, and the work you're doing is needed. So I'll wrap up this conversation with a couple more questions. And the first one will be, what mistakes do customer service teams or in sales teams commonly make when the emotions are entering the conversation, when they are like, man, I can't take it, kind of cross the line? How do you look at that?
The most common things that I hear are just not. Again, I'm just going to go back to the sports analogy. There are just some common blocking and tackling things, like filling the dead air, like taking ownership and saying, yeah, I'll be happy to help you with that. Like apologizing that, dude, sorry that happened. Here's what I'm going to do for you. These are not hard things to do. They're simple things to do. But too often, what I hear sales and customer service people do is they just kind of revert back to, just not caring and not even doing some of these simple basic things. And again, it's simple. And I always tell people, like, look, the reality is, at the end of the day, you're a voice actor, man. You're being paid to perform for this customer. And there is a certain, you say certainly, all you got is your voice. All you got is the words you say and the voice and how you use it, which is basically an actor. And if you learn how to do that well, you not only are going to be great at your job, but you're going to have customers love you. And too often people just don't care. And so they sit back and just kind of do the least amount that they have to do in order to get the job done. And that's sad.
Once again, let's not Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest today, Tom Vanderwell, CEO of Intelligenics. Go to his website, intelligenics.com. My last question, make this all for a circle. It's funny, like, I had this pre-planned, but it's like you've been reading my mind, and it's perfect. But when you think about the ability to listen, the ability to take ownership, and to take the bigger path, if you will, to apologize, how much is it just ego that interferes with the ability to do that versus lack of training?
I think that there's probably an equal balance of both there. Too many companies don't train their people well, and that's sad. And again, I'm not putting that on. I'm putting that on management. I'm putting that on the executives. I'm putting on the people that should be making the investment. Because in today's world, especially with technology is taking care of all the easy questions. if you got a customer calling you on the phone, there's something wrong. There is something complex. There is something that has, the system has broken down, and you're already at a break it or make it situation with your customer. So these human beings that are taking these calls, they need to be on their game. They need to be well trained. They need to be well equipped. You need to take good care of them and make sure that they've got what they need to resolve these issues. And that's a management issue. That's not a representative issue. So that's number one. So training definitely is an issue. But does ego play a part of it as well? Yeah. One of the things that I really work with frontline representatives on is, and I hear it all the time, yeah, but Tom, you know, in my family, if you apologize, it meant that you were admitting that you did something wrong, and you know you're in big trouble with Dad, or whatever. And it's sort of like, well, wait a minute, time out. When you pick up that phone and you say, "Hey, thanks for calling Acme Handles," the customers don't think that they're talking to you and your family. They're calling this company, and you are the representative. That's your job title. And so you have to be able to separate yourself from your own personal, maybe biases or issues, and say, all right, as a representative, when I say, hey, I'm sorry your anvil didn't arrive on your porch, the customer isn't hearing that you personally did something wrong to make that not arrive. What they're hearing is that, oh, the company that I'm doing business with cares that something has not gone right. And if the representative can't make that distinction, then that's a problem. And so that's a training issue, really.
Yeah, some good stuff, man. Might have to have you come back for part 2, man, because time is crazy flying off the wall here.
Bring it on. I'm happy to come back. This is a great conversation.
Yeah, because I feel like this was like a teaser preview of other stuff we can definitely talk about, because there's a lot of business talk and corporate talk, like people who want to work up the ladder. Like a lot of this applies not just to life, like you said, but just as you, the one in the mirror. Like it applies to you, like how you treat people, oh man, we gotta say that for later. So I'm gonna cut to the chase. We're talking to our guest today, Tom Vander Well, CEO of Intelligence. Go to his website, intelligence.com, and I am going to ask him politely to come back on the show, because I think we have much more that we can talk about. But before we go, I'll give you a last word. If you have one more last thought for our listeners and viewers, what would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. The book can be found on Amazon. This call may be monitored. We'd love to have you pick it up there. You can also learn more about me at tomvanderwell.com. Got a blog and a podcast and other things that you can look at. And I don't know if you can tell this, but I love to talk. So, if you're looking for a speaker for a business convention or an event that you've got coming up, and what I'm talking about would resonate with your audience, man, I would love to talk to you.
Awesome. Well, once again, this is I Am Refocused Radio, and watching us online, like we always say, thanks, Tom, for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to the next conversation.